Hey everyone, and welcome to this live stream. Today we are going to talk about Angular libraries. So we will see how you can create, build, and publish libraries from Angular Workspace, as well as we will see how you can also do that from Nx. Or using Nx DevTools. So we'll be seeing both. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is a new folder which I have created. Let me just rename this because there is a space in it and sometimes it causes an issue. So hey Mohammed. Okay. So before we go ahead and get started, so I have seen a lot of projects not creating libraries because they say, okay, I just have single project. Why should we create libraries? But it is not like that. You should always try to build or always try to split your code into the bare minimal builds, which I think of, because you never know, right, how big your project is going to be in future. So start from the day one. I would say start recognizing your boundaries, start recognizing your features, and start building or start creating the libraries from the day one. So first example which we are going to do or which we are going to see is using the Angular Workspace, because of course not everyone uses Nx DevTools, though that will be an ideal scenario. I think if you are not using Nx DevTools, just go ahead and do that. It's really nice tool. So let's go ahead and get started with Angular Workspace first. So let me just share my screen. And in case you have any questions, feel free to actually post it in the chat. Sure. Let me just zoom in. So I'll be creating a new project, new Angular. Currently I have Angular 11, Angular 11 CLI installed. So it will create a new Angular workspace with Angular 11 project. Hey Karthik. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll say ng new, and we'll need to give name to our project. So I'll say, okay, this is something called ng new and Angular lib demo. So this command will create a new project with a default project. So it says, okay, do you want to enforce stricter type checking? I'll say yes. Let's go ahead and do that. And Angular routing, yes. I'll be using Sass. I won't be writing any Sass, but yeah, just I prefer using SCSS rather than normal CSS. And let's just check if it's if code is visible. Can someone confirm if this code is visible, or should I increase the font size? It is how much? I think okay. This is okay. So meanwhile, our project is getting created. So this is default workspace. So you have a single project, default project, which is created here. It has some default module and default routing module and app component. So this is it. So this is what it is included. And as we are going to focus on libraries, so I'll be talking about how to create your own library and then how to use it rather than actually talking about the project. So this is it. So we have this project created now. Let's go ahead and add the libraries to it. To add a new library to your project, you can simply do it from Angular CLI itself. So I'll just clear this Sorry, it will be inside the project, inside the workspace which we have. So this is something which is supported from Angular 6 onwards. I'm sure most of the projects today uses Angular 6 and above. So otherwise you won't be able to use this commands because it's not available. The Mono Repo support was added after from Angular 6. So let's do that. So I'll say ng generate lib. So to create a new library, you have to say ng lib, which is library, and then you can give a name to your library. So let's say I'll try to split this library based on feature. So I'll say, okay, this library is named employee library, right? So everything related to employee resides inside this particular library. Okay, so we just added a new library called employee, and let's go back to our project. So you will see a projects folder, and you will find some files inside this. So it has its own tsconfig. It has tsconfig lib. We'll discuss about this, what this is, and then tsconfig.spec.json, and there is a lib folder which contains employee service module component. So everything is available here. Why projects folder? Because this is a default name which is available inside your configuration. So if you go to angular.json, you can change it to whatever you want. Probably in case you want to name it as libs. Generally, this is what Nx follows, right? So Nx says libs rather than projects. The idea behind naming it project is because in Angular you can have every even new application inside this projects folder. So that's why it is named projects, but you can actually go ahead and name it whatever you want. So here you have new project root, and this is the name which is used here. So projects is the projects folder. So whenever a new project or a new library or uh, a new application is created, it will be created inside projects folder. So just keep this in mind. And now once we have this library, let's go ahead and write some code, and then we will use this library inside our application, and then we'll also see how to publish, and then how we can uh, publish it on npm probably. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is employee component.ts, and right now it does contain some template. It says employee works, and then there's nothing inside it, right? So it doesn't contain even its own HTML because it's a inline template which is created by default. So here, let's go ahead and take. So what I will do is I'll use some. It's fine, right? So this is, let's say this is a component which we want to use. So this is employee works, and this is this component which we want to use inside our default project which we have here. So app component.html. So let's serve this project. So I'll use ng serve to serve this project now. And see, it will just give us the default page with some Angular information about, how some commands which are probably mentioned. So let's do that. And then we'll include our library, which is employee library. Okay. So this is the default page. This is the default page which is created by Angular CLI itself. So let's go ahead and remove, stop the server, and then we'll use this particular employee library inside our project. So what we have to do is, whenever you want to use any Angular library, first thing which you have to do is first you have to build those libraries. So this is one of the I would say overhead which you have to always do, because whenever you make some changes, you have to rebuild the libraries before you can go ahead and use it. Otherwise you will just find the last build which you have available. The reason being, in case you go to tsconfig.json here, whenever you create a new library, So whenever you create a new library, you this paths you will find something with the name of your library getting added here. So it says paths, then your library name. The current library name is employee. So it says it will refer to dist folder, dist employee. So that's why you have to always build your library. So here, let's go ahead and build the library first, and then we'll include the packages, include the module which we have inside as part of our library. To build library, you have to just do ng build and your library name. So I'll say, okay, this is employee, which is my library name. Remember, always split the library based on feature. I'll just guide you to probably while discussing about Nx DevTools, there is a page called library types, which is very useful in case you want to figure out what kind of library you need. Okay, so this library is built now, and you will find there is a dist folder, and it contains your employee and all the files which should be available on npm as well in case you publish this package or publish this library. And once this is done, once you have done this, now you can go to your module. So let's say I want to use employee module here. So I'll say import from, my library name is employee. So I just do employee. And then from here, I can access module, component, and service. The reason being why I am able to access all these three, because when you create libraries, there is a file called public-api. So this is your public API, which will be exposed to anyone using this particular library. So if I remove, let's say service, right? So if I remove service from here, and let's rebuild the library just to confirm what we are saying is true, right? So now let's rebuild the library. So now you will find that service is not available anymore. Now let's go back, and you will find only component and module. So make sure you, via public API, you are only exporting whatever is needed. So let's say you have 100 files, right? But let's say 50 files are just used internally. That's possible. You are building a library and you may have some helper. So don't export everything. Just export whatever will be used outside or will be consumed from another library or another app. Just expose them. That's it. So here I don't want to use anyways. I don't want you to use library. So I'll just use module. So now this module contains the information about component. So which is lib-employee. And now I can just go back to app component.html. I'll remove this previous template from here. And let's use lib-employee because this is the pack. And let's figure out, let's see one more thing, because okay, it exports employee component. So yep, lib employee. And now let's serve the application again. So I'll say, okay, this is ng, hey Venkat, ng serve -o. I will just use -o flag because it will just serve the application in my default browser. My default browser is right now Brave. Let's hope it works. I think it will work because it's just Chromium. Yeah. So here you can see, I'll just move it inside an h1 tag. So so you can see employee works, and you are able to see employee. I can inspect, and probably you can see that. Yeah, right. So you can see lib employee is the tag name, right? So which is coming from our library, and then it displays whatever inside that library is. So employee works, that's it. So this is how you can actually create a new Angular library, and then you can use it. You can also use services as we saw. So we right now what we have done is we have just removed the service from public API file, so it won't be available. And remember, whenever you are building library, you don't have to actually add the service into any module. Remember, in case you have used Angular 4 and 5, you had to actually add everything all the components into your declarations and all the services into your providers. It is not required anymore. You can just keep that library as individual file and just make sure you have provided in root, and then you can just export from your public-API file, and then you can use it inside your consuming app. So this is a small example. Let's take an example of service, right? So here, what we will do is we will just export some methods. So I'll say this is get employee, and in this, let's make an API call. So I'll just use JSON placeholder to get users, right? So this is the users API from where I'm going to get the data. And let's use here private the client. So we have to use import Angular /common /http and use http client. And here I'll return this .http.get, and we know the endpoint. So this is the endpoint from where we are going to get the data. Okay, so get employee method is available, and then you have whoever subscribes to this method will get this particular data. And I want to create an interface, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'll say this is employee.ts, and these are the information. So based on it, let's create an interface. So I'll say just use JSON to TS. So when it's easiest way to do, in case you already have JSON data available, you can just use JSON to TS to convert your JSON data to a TypeScript interface. Is this okay? So I'll just copy this, and okay, so we got this interface. I'll just name it employee, and let's export. And in public API, I'll just add service as well as interface, because I'm going to use those types inside my application. So need that as well. So I'll need employee, and I also need the service. And there is one unsaved file. Okay. Now we made some changes to service. So what we have to do is we have to rebuild our library. So I'll just build the library again and build employee. Done. So our library is built, and now I can just use the first thing which we have to do is I have to use HTTP client module here, because I'm going to make an API call. So HTTP client module, and now inside my component we will use the service. So we'll call the service from here. So I'll say import from employee, and what we need is employee service. And let's call the API employee is equals to so constructor, and we will inject the service here, private PMP service, which is type of employee service. And let's make the API call this.emp service.get employee. And we have this stream of data available inside this, but it says employee observable of object. This is strange, right? Because we missed one thing to do inside our library. I'm sure you know what. So you have to give the type here. So I'll say, okay, this is get, and whatever data I'm getting, it will be type of employee. And let's rebuild the library again. And now let's go back to our app component. And now you will find, okay, this says it returns the observable of employee. So we are getting the correct typing here. And now let's display this data on the view. So I can use from table to do that. And so let's have p head and p body. And let's display the data which is available in the API. So what we have is we have ID, name, username, email, and then we have address information which contains street, suit, city, zip code. So it contains some nested information. It's absolutely fine, not a problem. Let's try to first just display the data as it is. So I'll say this is employee pipe sync pipe JSON. What I'm doing is I'm subscribing to employee stream by using a sync pipe and then just displaying the data using JSON pipe. So let's see how if we get the output. And for that we have to build our serve our application again. So I'll do ng serve -o. Probably binding part we can do later on because this is more specific to libraries, how you can build and consume it rather than binding the data. So So you can see you have the data which is coming from your backend, but the code which you have written to get the data is part of your service. You have not written it as a part of your app itself. So it's coming from your Angular reusable or Angular library, and then you are just using it inside your component. So this is how you can. Hey Jeffrey, hi. Thanks for joining. So now you know how to create a component and how to create a module, and then how you can use it inside your component. And then you also saw how you can use an service which is part of your library, and then you can also use that service as part of your application. So it's not necessary you have to include everything inside your app. Try to split I'm going to repeat this several times until you do it in your own application as well. Always split your libraries based on feature. Don't think that you are going to have a single application that service is not, that library is not needed. It's not like that. In case you move on to Nx tools, you can actually build whatever is impacted rather than building entire application. You can also take the advantage of caching, which is available in an Nx tool. So you don't have to rebuild the libraries again and again. So there are several advantages in case you do it from the day one. So try to keep your code, which is part of your app application, right, to a minimum. So it should take everything from the library. Even there is some concept of there is a concept called shell libraries, which is I'll share the link with you, written by Lars and Nacho. So they explain it really well. You can also utilize that concept as well. But yeah, that's something which we'll take care while talking about Nx tools. Right now we are inside an Angular Mono Repo. So let's now what we have done is we have created a library, we build it, and then we used it locally. What in case I want to publish this library on npm? So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing which you have to do is you have to build the library. So we already did that. We build the library because we wanted to use it inside the app. Next step is to publish it. So once you have your distributable folder available here, you can publish it on npm. But let me show you one thing. When you build libraries, so when you say ng build employee, there is a warning. It says it is not recommended to publish IV libraries to npm repository. So right now, whatever libraries we build, we cannot publish it. So the reason being, all the libraries, when you build it locally, they are compiled using IV here. So if you see, you have two files, tsconfig.lib and tsconfig.lib.prod. This is only in case you are using IV. It is available after Angular 9. It was not available before. So the developers who might have used Angular 6, 7, 8, they may never have seen this issue, or in case you are already using it, you will not find two configuration or two tsconfig.lib and tsconfig.prod. because it's only after Ivy came in. So in case you have you are using Angular 9 and above, and you have these two files, to publish your libraries, you have to always build your libraries with a flag called --prod. Remember, you always do --prod for your applications, but here, in case of Ivy, Angular 9, 10, 11, probably by 12, this issue might be sorted. I'm not sure, but yes, there is something in queue. So but last, I think, few months ago, right? So there is an RFC to discuss about how we can publish the libraries using Ivy. So that RFC was worked on, and there is something which will be released soon. So you don't have to do this --prod anymore, but there might be something else, the flag which can be there. So this is also related to your Angular.json. So let's go back and see that as well. So if you go to your libraries, your library has this build option, right? So you see your builder, and you can see a configuration called production. So this is why I'm saying --prod. And while doing that, it will use this tsconfig.lib.json. And there is only one flag which is actually used there, which says enable Ivy false, apart from declaration map. So it says enable Ivy false. So don't compile using Ivy. It will compile using View Engine. And now it is compiled, so we can publish it. But there is a question from Arjun. Let's see that. So Arjun says, can you please cover publishing a library to a private GitHub, and do we use that library in a project? Unfortunately, I mean, so the publishing step, Arjun, remains same wherever, whether it's a private or public. I mean, remember, it's going to be someone's account. So in case you are doing it in private repo, they give you Artifactory path. So you have to check with your team who manages the Artifactory, so they can create your credentials. I have used JFrog in past. So most of the large organization, right? So they don't publish their libraries on npm. So they use some Artifactories like JFrog, or maybe somewhere else, but they generally don't do npm. So the team who is responsible for handling that Artifactory, they will create your credential, and they will probably create your workspace as well, or your namespace, and then you can start publishing the library. So only thing which changes is you have to provide the Artifactory path. That's it. Otherwise, the entire step is same. And I'm going to publish it on my account and my npm account. So let's go ahead and do that. So right now it's built, and the entire distributable is available inside this dst/employee. Now I can go inside this folder. In case you want to publish it on npm or any Artifactory, first we have to be logged in. So here I am already logged in on npm. So I can do npm publish. In case you are not logged in, it will ask you to log in, and then I can pass --access is equals to public. Basically, I'm saying this library is available for everyone. And okay, someone already has this package name. So let me just also talk about this. So this is my package name called employee. So right now, I'm sure someone else might have actually published employee as a package while testing it, and I cannot do that. So if let's say Arjun publishes a package called ngx employee, right? So I won't be able to publish ngx employee because it is owned by Arjun. Unless he gives me access on that particular package, I won't be able to do it. So let me just show you npmjs.com, and where you can find your packages. So npmjs.com, just use Chrome because I'm already logged in. So here I can just go to packages, and I'll be able to see all the packages which I have published. So of course there are many which is just for testing purpose, and there are a few which is being used and available for everyone. So let's rename this package name, right? So I'll just rename this package name to Santosh-employee demo, and I hope this name is not taken. Or let's build it again. Okay, resources busy because I have this terminal open which accesses the DST folder. Okay, so now this is built and we can verify our package name here, Santosh underscore employee underscore hyphen demo. And now let's try to publish it again. So probably this time there won't be any issues. So as you can say npm publish hyphen access. Remember, you can also do it. You can also directly publish it from GitHub to npm. That's possible, but we can see that some other time. Today it's just about building the libraries and publishing it from your local machine. I'm not going to talk about how you can publish it on from GitHub. I think that was the question Arjun had. Looks like publishing a library to a private GitHub. Okay, so no, I think your question was related to uh, publishing it on the public private Artifactory. So as I said, it remains same. The steps are almost similar. You just need to have access. That's it. Let's go back and see now. So it's published, but let's verify. So I can just go back to my packages. There are 12 packages now, and I think there will be this one, Santosh employee demo, right? So this package is also published. You have some documentation available here. You can add more details. You can also add your let's say GitHub link in case you have available here. And let's see, let's go back. So this is your readme file. So this is where you can make all the changes related to readme, and this is your package.json. This is where you can actually add a lot of different configuration. You can all add author, who is the author. You can add, I think, name, config contributors in case you have multiple contributors, directories, display name, homepage. You can also add homepage here, which will be displayed here on the npmjs.com. You will be able to see all this information which you mention in your package.json will be available here. So yeah, this is okay. So this is it, how you can do it from Angular. Let's do one more thing before we move on to Nx tool. So what we are going to do now is we will push this package uh, on GitHub, and then we will build it on GitHub using GitHub Actions. So let's go ahead and do that. So here, let's say, okay, git add. So, and let's create a repository. So okay, so this is available. Create repository. So this is, I have just added origin now. Let's commit it. So I'll say, okay, this is initial chicken. And let's push the changes. So my code is available. Now let's say you are working in a team and you want to make sure that whenever a new PR is raised, you want to make sure that your libraries are built and your application is you are able to build your application. How you can do that? This is where GitHub Action comes into the picture. You can of course use whatever you want to, but let's use GitHub Actions because it is available for free for all the open source projects, and I can just create one here. So there are multiple. You can see there are multiple. You can see deploy your code with this popular services. There are multiple services which are available. There are more than 3,000 GitHub Actions which are available right now. And the one which I'm going to do is, this is publishes the Node.js package. So I'm just going to use Node.js to build, and I can do that using, let's go ahead and do that. Publish a Node.js package. Let's use Node.js one. What we have here is, okay, so we have build npm publish. I don't want to publish it. Let's go back and let's search for it. So where is the search gone? Here. So I'll just use Node.js, publish Node.js package. This is again publishing a Node.js. Yeah. I'll use this one, Node.js one, and it says, okay, so on push and on pull request. So this is what it is saying. Let me just push. So it says this workflow or this GitHub action will run whenever there is a push into the current main branch, and there is a pull request for main branch. So right now my default branch is main branch. Sorry, it's not master, it's main. So and then what we have is, it uses Ubuntu, it uses Node.js version. So in case you want to build it on several Node versions, it says, okay, it can run on Node.js 10, 12, 14. I am going to remove 15. I'm not sure if Angular libraries can build on Node version 15. So then it checks out your code. Then you run npm CI. I don't want to run npm CI, rather than I want to run npm install. Then I want to run, or I want to build the library. So I'll say npm run. So to do that, I'll just add few commands into my package.json, the main package.json. Okay, Arjun has some question. We'll come back to this once we do this, once we just build. So to build the library, I'll say, okay, build lib, and then I can say ng build and the library name employee. And I want to build my application using prod mode. So I'll just add one more here. Let's say this is build prod ng build. As I already have single project, so I don't have to give the project name. So I just want to build the default application, which is right now Angular lib demo. So this is my default application. And the build -- prod. Let's commit this. So let's say, okay, this is stage, and then build commands, and let's push. So I'm pushing to main branch. I have not actually configured GitHub Action as of now. So so done. Now what I want to do is, I want to run the npm install. Then I want to run npm run. I'll remove this if -- if present. So because it's build -lib. And once library is built, I want to do npm run build prod. So I want to build my product, build my application with prod mode. So whenever you raise any PRs, it will automatically run this GitHub action for all the PRs. So let's go ahead and do start commit. I'll say commit directly to main branch, create a new branch. So I'll say, okay, patch 1, and I'll say this is added GitHub action. Propose a new file, and let's create a pull request. So you can see, now let's go back to the actions, and you can see GitHub action is already running for your code base. So it says there are 3 jobs because we configured our build to run on Node.js 10, 12, and 14. So it works as a matrix. I know most of you are engineering students, so you might be aware of what matrix is. So it's like one build into whatever combination you give, right? So right now we gave 3 combination to run our build on 3 different version of Node.js 10, 12, and 14. So this is what it is doing right now. So it will run for all 3. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and check. Sorry, take the question from Arjun. So Arjun says, I have always been confused what goes into peer dependencies when creating a library rather than just a dependency. Okay, so peer dependencies are something on which your library is dependent on. Let's say here, right? So I'll go back to this package.json. So you can see here we have peer dependencies as Angular common and Angular core. So it means whenever someone consumes your library, right? So this peer dependencies, this packages will be installed probably. So this packages will be installed as you do npm install, let's say this particular library name, right? So this peer dependencies will be installed as a part of your installation process itself, or this packages should be available. Otherwise, let's say someone may remove these packages, right? So if they remove these peer dependencies, your libraries probably won't work. So that's what we define this peer dependencies for. Dependencies are something which is used inside our library. So in case you publish your package without dependencies, so it will not work, so it will fail, your build will fail. So those are dependencies, but peer dependencies are something which should be installed in case someone wants to use your library. Without it will not work. But right now I think this is, we are saying our peer dependencies is Angular common, so version 11.2. So in case someone wants to use this library, they should have Angular common and Angular core of this particular version installed. In most of the cases, your Angular libraries will work on Angular 9 above. Uh, in case you're not using any latest features of Angular 10 or 11, but otherwise you have to make sure that this peer dependencies are installed before you start consuming this particular service. Otherwise, if it will not fail, but sometime you may see some warnings. Okay, this is required version and you have this version installed. So those warnings can come, but in case you are using some features of a specific Angular version, it may fail as well. So that's what this peer dependencies are available for. Yep, so Shriram says dependencies are shipped as part of lib, yes, and peer dependencies are installed in consuming apps, so not installed by your library or not part of your library build. Shouldn't the library be also built using -f prod? Yes, they should be, in case if you want to publish it. I'm not publishing it right now. I'm just doing a build of my application on GitHub Action. So in case I want to publish it, yes, I will be using -f prod as well. Probably that will be another GitHub Action. I will not merge it with the app. So here you can see 3 jobs completed. It means, okay, my GitHub action ran successfully. And now I can just go ahead and merge my PR. So GitHub actions, and let's merge this. Let's go back to code. And if I go to actions again, so another GitHub action, this will run now on my master branch. So sorry, main branch. So just to make sure, okay, now your feature build was successful, but once you merge your feature build to your main branch, will that be successful or not? So now we are checking that that thing, and it will run for again Node.js 10, 12, and 14. So this is how you can actually verify your build as well as part of your build process. They're still a bit unclear after the peer dependent. So I think Sriram simplified it a lot. So let's say whatever you do give as dependencies, right? So this dependencies will be part of your library build, and whatever you give it as a peer dependencies, that this won't be available as part of your build, but it has to be installed by your consuming application. If they are not available, you may get warning or error depending on how important this peer dependencies is. For example, Angular common, right? So most of the libraries which are built using Angular 11, they can still be used on with Angular 9. Reason being Ivy. But in case they are not compatible, it will give you an error. But in case it is missing, it will give you a warning. So remember, peer dependencies, if it will be installed by your consuming application, dependencies, it will be part of your the library build itself. Your consuming app don't need to install dependencies at all. Sriram says just missed first 6 minutes of Nx setup. So it's right now it's an Angular Mono Repo. You don't have to actually you didn't miss anything. Now we are going to start with Nx Mono Repo. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is an example of just an Angular workspace. Let's go ahead and do it for Nx. So I'll create a new project or new folder first. Let's create a new project properly. So cd dot and first thing which you have to do is you have to create an Nx workspace, and I think I have an Nx. The Nx documentation is really good. You can just go to nx.dev. This is where the Nx documentation is available, and then you can choose Angular from there. And getting started, you will find a video and this command. So I'm just going to copy this command as it is. Though I have Nx installed globally as well. Sorry, think I do. Yes, Nx is installed globally in my here. But to create a workspace, I have to run this command, which it says nx npx create Nx workspace at the latest and workspace name, and you can also give a preset. So let's go ahead and do that. So right now we are going to see the Nx one. It will ask you workspace name, what the application name. There are several questions it will ask. So let's go ahead and see that. So workspace name, I'll say Nx lib demo. Application name, let's say this is to-do app. SaaS, I'll use ESLint. I don't want to use Nx Cloud. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, I removed it. So here, now it will create an Nx workspace, and it will also create one application, which is to-do app, and there won't be anything else. We will be adding few libraries. Wait till it gets created. Okay. So it's creating apps now. Okay, looks like it is going to take few more minutes or seconds. So meanwhile, let's open the application and see what's there and close the previous one. So this is how your Nx workspace looks like. You have several uh, almost same things, but rather than projects, you have apps. Sorry. So the entire projects folder which we saw, right? It is split into two parts. So apps and libs. So whenever you create a new application, it goes into apps, and whenever you create a new library, it goes into libs. So right now we don't have any library as anyways, and there is something called tools folder, and tools is somewhere I have seen people using it in a different ways. So in case you have some custom JS files, right, or you want to run some let's say gulp or maybe some webpack task. Generally developers keep everything inside tools folder. And this is decorate angular cli.js, which actually, as I think you already know, that Nx tools is just an extension of the Angular CLI. So this file has actually, which decorates the Angular CLI. That's it. And there is tsconfig.base.json. In Angular, you will generally find tsconfig.json, but uh, this is something which is available. It was introduced. I'm not sure. I don't remember the name. So let me just tell you the correct name. Mm, Yeah, so it is used it is called as solution style TypeScript configuration. So tsconfig.base.json. It was actually introduced as part of Angular CLI, but the Angular team had to actually roll it back due to some issues. But Nx uses this solution style TypeScript configuration. It is generally used by your IDE, not during the application. So is there a roadmap to integrating Snowpack instead of Webpack? I think this is something which Angular team has to decide, right? So I'm not sure they are going to move away from Webpack because that's the best tool they need right now, and that's what they are using. But I'm sure there might be some community build or community builder which you may see in future, or if you are interested, you can build your own. I'm not sure what's the advantage. So if you want to try it out, so the Malay says, especially since it doesn't need us to npm install anything. Okay, I have never actually read about Snowpack. I know that it exists, but in Magnation we use Mono Repo for common components library, and it's in Vue. Okay, that's great. Nx usually adopts the latest and greatest tools. Yes, I can. I think yeah, you can say yes, and I agree. So it uses Cypress by default, but let me just tell you, probably you may see Cypress as an option in Angular itself. I'm not speaking on behalf of Angular team, but there was an I think RFC a few months ago where they wanted to know which build tools you are using. So probably Cypress can be one of the option once you do npm ngnew. So that might be possible because anyways. Protector uses the APIs, which is really old. They are not updated for a long time, and I'm not sure if updating it makes any sense. So probably they move to Cypress, or they may give as Cypress another option. So let's close this. Okay, Cypress is installed. Okay, so my workspace is ready now. I have an app, it's called To Do app, and then you have a libs folder which is empty right now. That's where we are going to add few libraries, and let's go ahead and do that because I think, let's see, it's completed. Okay, Done. So your application is ready, and let's move into Nx lib demo. In case you want to create new libraries. So before we go ahead and get started, we create our first library. Let me just tell you, in the one advantage, as as soon as you switch from, let's say, Angular CLI or Angular Workspace to Nx Workspaces, you don't have to build library every time. So you don't have to do that anymore. In Nx, you can just write your library, and you can just do your normal application build, and all the changes will be reflected back. The reason being, let's go ahead and create the libraries, and then you will be able to see that. In Nx, there are two types of libraries which you can build. I mean, should I call two or three? Because there is something called Buildable, where you can build your library. You won't be able to publish it. Then there is a Publishable Library, and then there's just a library which you cannot build using ng build command. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'll create a new Nx library. So I'll say Nx lib, and give the name as, let's say, to do util. Mm, Next generate. So next generate lib, and then I'm saying this library is named as to do util. So let's see what's the difference between once we create a buildable library in future, and then we create a publishable library in future. Okay, so now we will get a library called to do util here, and you can see it has tsconfig.lib.json. And let's go to angular.json. This is where the interesting part is. So if I go to schematics, to do app, to do util. So you can see this to do util does not contain a builder for build. Generally, when you create an library, let's say inside an Angular workspace or an Nx workspace, you also get a build option, right? So if I want to build the library individually for Nx build, and to do util, it will say it does not have actually build target. These libraries are really helpful in case you want to create something like utility, right? So you don't want to build it. You want to keep some reusables aside in a library. You want to use it inside, let's say, multiple libraries, multiple apps. You can use it in both, but you don't want to build it individually. They are just helpers, right? And they don't serve any other purpose. So what you can do is you can just create a library uh, uh, without a build target. So you can just say nx generate lib and your lib name, and it will not generate a build target for the same. Now I can just use this to do util wherever I want to, and I don't have to build it. Because let's go back to this tsconfig base.json. Remember paths from the earlier video, earlier uh, example of using Angular Mono Repo. We got paths, and then we got the library name, and it was referring to dist folder. Right now, it refers to libs, to do util, src, and then index.ts. So it will just directly use everything which is exported here. So you don't have to build a library and then use it. You can just directly refer it as well. So let's create a util. I'll remove this module, and I'll say this is a util.ts. And what this utility contains is, let's say, a function, right? So a function which gives you status. I'll just export. Usually disabled. Okay, that's fine. And let's say based on some status text. So I'll say this is a string status, which is type of string. I want to return some numeric values. This is just an example, so don't worry about it. So I'll use switch case. Case active. Closed. Return 0. Case just default. Okay, so this is a simple get status utility which takes the status as input and then returns a numeric value based on your status. And let's go ahead and use it inside the to-do app. So here, I'll go to app component.ts and I can now import based on the path. So we already have this path available here. Next lib demo and to do util. Let's use the function. Sorry. So one more thing before we can use it is add it to the public API lib util. And now I can just use the get status util here and use status is equals to get status. And let's pass the value as active. Example, right? So you don't have to worry about what it is. And let's use the status text here. So it will return you 1 based on the current value. So we are passing active and it will just return 1. But we will not build the library as we discussed. We will just serve the app. So I can say Nx serve. It will, as we have a single app, it will just serve the default app. And here it is, right? So you have one which is coming from utility and that's it. So this is first type where you don't have to actually have, you want to create some reusables, but you don't want to build them. It's a kind of utility. So I think utility functions are best suited for this kind of libraries where you don't want to have the build target. Now let's move on to the next type of library which you can build. So I'll just do nx lib utility. So I'll say this is nx shared, and I want this to be buildable. So I will pass a flag -n buildable true. Remember, creating multiple libraries also saves you build time in case of you are using Nx, because Nx has something called impacted builds, by using which you can just build what is impacted rather than actually building everything. So we'll see that as well. But let's see right now. So we created another library, and this library is to do shared, and it is buildable library. So you can see in your Angular.json, you will find to do util, to do shared, and it has a build option as well. So it uses Narwhal, Angular, ng packager lite, and then you have your lib and your lib.prod.json. So this is buildable library. You can build it and use it inside your application. Other, in case you don't build it, still you will be able to use it. The reason being this paths. So you can see it says, okay, this to do shared refers to src index.ts, which is this file to do shared src index.ts. So whatever you actually export here, you can just directly use it inside your app. So let's go ahead and do one thing. We'll add a new component here. So let's create a new component, nxg component, sorry, C, and I'll say this is shared or not shared, but to do list. So let's say a new component called to do list component, and it is registered inside to do list component, and we will also use exports, so it can be used outside of this module to do list. Okay, so now I can use inside to do app. So let's go back to app module, and we can use import from. You have this is Nx lib demo shared. So this is, and inside index.ts it's already exported, so I don't have to do that probably. So to do shared module, it's already exported. So I can just, let's go back to our app module and use this to do shared module. Let's add it to imports array. And now we can use the component. So let's see what is the selector. App component.html. And let's serve the application again. Again, you don't have to build the library while using it. And here it is. So you get to-do list works, which is actually part of your library, which is part of your component, and that's it. Now, let's go ahead and add multiple libraries so we can actually see the advantage why to use Nx. So here I'll add few more buildable libraries. To do shared, to do common. Let's do it as, let me just commit this, and then we will create another branch, and then we'll see this. So here, stage all changes. I'll say this is initial commit. Let's create a new branch. So I'll say this is a create new branch feature, add to do common. And let's do this. So I'll say this is common library, and this is also buildable library. Next is godsend. Did you set default app to the library, or does Nx have a different behavior when not specifying an application in the CLI command? So, I mean, while creating a new workspace, I gave a application name, and that's a default application name which it is using, similar to what you do in Angular Workspace, right? So it's same. You don't have to do anything extra, but you can change it in case you want to. Here it is. So in Angular.json, you will find at the end to do default project to do app. So this is what it is referring to whenever I do nxserve. So it will always refer to default project, or in case I do some other operation, so it will always refer to the default projects. Okay, so this library is created now. Let's move and let's close all. And we have a different library to do common, right? So here, let's use this to do common to actually include a service probably. So I'll just remove this and so this is a next generate service to do service. Okay, so we created this service to do service, and then let's add a function get to do list, and let's use the JSON placeholder to make API call. And there is an API for to do, so we'll use the same. Okay. So you're referring to the command. So the thing is, it will automatically generate the files to the nearest folder or nearest module. So this is a default behavior. You don't have to do that. I think it was a problem in the start. I remember that whenever you have to create a new component, you have to always specify the project. It is not required anymore. By default, CLI generates the files to the nearest module or nearest folder. So you're safe now. Private. Same for service, right? So right now I just generated this service inside this folder, and it created my service inside this, not into the application. I remember that was an issue earlier. Decline. So this. So let's do import from Angular /http, and what we need is HTTP client. Here this dot HTTP dot get, and then we need the API endpoint, and let's create the interfaces as well. So we can use JSON to TS. Let's go ahead and do that. No problem. Let's JSON placeholder. We need to create an interface. So let's get the to-dos. Let's copy. So there are only 4 properties, so I can just directly do it inside here. This is to-do dot ts, and let's create interface to-do. User ID, it is number. ID, it is also a number. And we have a title, which is string. And then we have completed, which is a Boolean. So we have the service ready, and now I'll just change the type here. So I'll say, okay, this is to do the interface which we created. So it will not return an object, it will return an observable of to do. And this is it, this is done. I just need to add this into the public API so they can be used outside. So also NB service, and then also export star from click slash to do. So I want to export the interface as well. Now I can just go ahead and use this to do inside my app. Let's go ahead and do that. So in app component.ts, the same thing which we did in Angular Workspace, right? So we used service directly. So is it shared? Yes, it is shared. And then, okay, sorry, it's not shared, right? It is common. To service, and then I can just use constructor to inject my service private service is type of to do service. But before we can go ahead and use it, we have to add one more thing. We have to add in our app module, we have to use HTTP client module. And now let's go back, and here I can use to do again. I can use stream with the async pipe. So I'll say to do is equals to this dot to do service dot get to do list, and we have the stream of data which is available here. So I can say, okay, this is to do st, and now let's print it. So I can say to do pipe async pipe JSON, and let's build. Thank you, Gaurav. Thanks for joining. And now let's serve the app, and it will just build everything which is needed. We don't have to build the library separately. And you have the data. Now you can just probably display it in table or grid, whatever you need. So this is, now we have two libraries which is available. Let's try to use the dependency graph. Another advantage of using Nx, right? So Nx DevTools. So you can run this command. Generally, it is difficult to find how your application is structured, and what depends upon which library or which project, right? But using Nx dependency graph, you can actually visualize that. So once you run, you will get this screen. Let's select all, and you will be able to figure out, okay, how your application is structured. So right now I have a to do app which depends upon to do utility, to do common, and to do shared. Of course, this may look really complex in case you have a very large enterprise application and a lot of things depends upon a lot of things, but at least you will be able to figure out, okay, this service depends upon this service. It's possible, right? It's possible that to do common can also to do shared can also depend upon to do common. Let's do that as well. But yes, it will be easy to visualize using the Nx dependency graph. You can also do affected builds. So let's say in your application you have a lot of libraries, and of course at the end what happens is every library is consumed to by your apps. But there is chances that you won't be actually touching each and every library in every commit or every PR. So what you can do is you can also do this affected build. It will just run the affected. So you have to build application run command using base. Okay, so you have to provide a base. Generally it is master, so sorry, generally it is main. So okay, so it says usually master, but now everyone has changed and they have started using master. So let's go ahead and do sorry, they have started using main. So I'll say okay, this is base is equals to main. So this is my main base branch. So I'll say okay, this is right. Now let's do affected build and see what happens. Will try to figure out okay, what are the okay, so it needs to run to do app, to do common, to do shared. So these are three things which is somehow impacted right now with current build, and it will build only this three. So this is the because of course if you remember in while I was in main branch, I didn't build anything. So right now DSD folder is being created for the first time. But the advantage is using this, you can actually also cache your builds. So let's say someone in your team who is also working on shared or let's say some other library, and he already built that thing. So by using cache, what Nx will do is, in case you are using Nx cache or Nx cloud, it will just take the build from the cache rather than actually building it again. Let it be on your local machine or let it be on your CI/CD pipeline, so it can refer from the cache. That's an advantage which you get. So it says right now there is an error. It says Nx to do shared. Okay, we have to export the component. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go to shared, src lib shared module. I have to export the component, the list component, and I'll do affected build again. So you can run this all this affected builds, affected tests as part of your CI/CD pipeline, but make sure that you are doing it. You are doing the full build for your main branch. This is only something which you can do for your feature branches. So let's uh, create a GitHub action for the same next. Okay, so now everything is built and it is successful. So let's go ahead and push this, and then we will do GitHub action for the same. So let's go ahead and do that here. Git and create do commonly. Go back to main, and I don't have any remote configured, so I will create a new repository first. Nx demo. Okay, so now remote is configured. Let's push this branch. So okay, this is branch. So push to and let's push the another feature branch which we had. Push. Okay, so both main branch and my feature branch is available on GitHub right now. So you can see there's it says okay, compare and create a pull request. So let's go ahead and do this compare and pull request, and let's create pull request, and let's create a GitHub action as well. But let me update all the command here, not here, but in main. Let's open a new branch. So I'll say create new branch, and I'll say update affected commands. and here I'm going to update affected build libs with. So what I have to do is I have to give this hyphen hyphen base is equals to main. So I'm saying whenever you run affected builds or affected tests or affected libs, just take the base as main branch. To E to test even for lint and I think affected apps too. And rest of the commands remain same. And let's raise a PR. And base to affected. To get push. And it will ask me to open another PR. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Create pull request. And I'll merge it. And now this create to do common lib. This is, I think there will be a conflict. So let me just merge this, resolve this conflict. Generally prefer rebase. So I'm not doing rebase right now, but in your case, please do rebase. I need all the incoming changes. So let's take all the incoming and commit. First from main. Okay, but this branch is available. Strange. Okay, so let's merge. Before merging this, let's create a GitHub action, and we'll use the same node fun. So here, where is that? By node.js setup workflow, and I don't want to do this on push, but I want to do it on pull request. So whenever there is a pull request which targets to main, I want to run Node.js. Let's use the latest one. I don't want to consume a lot of resources because it's just free. So let's be respectful. And okay, so now here I want to do npm install rather than doing that. So I'll say npm run build, but I want to run the affected build. So I'll say, okay, this is affected build. And that's it. So during my feature builds or during my PRs, which targets, whenever I have a new PR which targets to master to main branch, I will just run the affected build, and that's it. And you can also run the affected test in case you want to. I don't have any tests, so running the test does not make any sense. This is anyways just for demo purpose. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm running the affected builds. That's it. And affected builds, what it will do is it will identify all the application which has build target, and it will try to see if this particular PR introduces the changes in this particular build, and it will just build everything which needs to be affected. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll raise start a commit. I'll say, okay, this is create a new branch, propose a new file change. And you will see if I go to GitHub Action, it will start running the build. It will see, okay, what is affected, and it will, I think it will also print everything. So if you go to your workflow, it will build, it will print what needs to be rebuilt, and it will just build those. So right now it is running npm install. Now let's wait. Because generally when we raise a new PR, what we want to verify is if my application is, I'm still able to build my application. That's what we want to verify. So rather than running everything on each and every PR, you can just run the affected build, affected test. So it will not run everything. Okay, so npm install is completed, and now it is running affected build, and it failed. Okay, so let's see what happened. So it says npm affected build, base is main, not a valid object name main, no such reference main affected base. Okay, this is strange. So it says base name of the current branch, usually master, and head. Okay, base is equals to Shadan. Strange. So let's see. Let's see the documentation probably. So here, let's insert it, Angular, and let's see affected creating libraries. Basically, mm, okay, so base master, what I did is the same, right? So base is equals to main rather than master, and let's verify if it's the same. We do have code main. Okay, so we have main, and then why it got failed, because we do have base as main, but somehow there is some error. No such ref equals as main base of the current branch. Git merge base for point main head. Okay, this is strange. Add more comments on. Okay, let me just merge this and see what happens in that case. Let's merge the master back. So I just merged this PR into master, and then I updated my address to do common lib again with master, and let's see what still if you still get the same error. Somehow base is equals to master, and I, as per the documentation, it says it should be the default, the base branch which we have. So for us it is main, and for master it is getting failed. Sorry, for main it is getting failed, which is the should be okay, but let's see. So affected Nx affected link base is equals to main, and we did affected build, which is base is equals to main. Okay, npm run affected build. Okay, on local it works fine, so I'm not sure why that was an issue over there. Hope it works this time. You can install. Okay, so on local it works absolutely fine. There's no issue. So you can see we did an X affected build and hyphen base equals to main, and everything went perfectly fine. So no issue here. Okay, it got failed again. So it says an npm run affected build, not a valid object name main. Build application. Okay, let's see. Next. Build, no such reference. Okay, so there is an issue. So it says base npm run affected apps, and then base. Okay. Oh, okay. So it says it should be origin slash master, because this is how it is going to refer uh, on the CI. So I mean, it makes sense. So let's try base is equals to origin slash master, and then let's see if it works. So what I am going to do is build change here base origin main. Sorry, origin. So here, let's try this locally first, and then we'll see. Okay, it works. So should work on the CI. Let's push it, and it and so I generally use both. I mean, for Git commands, I have started using command prompt frequently, but sometime I also use Visual Studio Code. So let's see. And here we have, and now let's see if, okay, it's running again. So it works now. And meanwhile, so what we will do is, once this build is completed, we will merge this branch, and then what we will do is we'll make the changes to util only, and then we'll see how our dependency graph looks like. So if you make changes to util, the only affected build should be the app, because app is something which is using util. Shared and common, to do shared and to do common should not be built. So that's the whole output of whatever we did till now, and then we'll see how you can actually make a publishable library. So in case you want to publish anything outside of Nx Mono Repo, go ahead and create a library with -fn publishable true. So that's something which we'll see after that. Oh, okay, still an error. Strange. So it says origin main, no such ref origin and main. Looks like I just missed few more things. And next, so he also mentioned -fn plain and then base develop. Uh, are you doesn't work and this work? Okay, Nx affected npm run affected apps hyphen. Okay, this is strange. If it's true, let's see. Package npm run affected libs build. So what it is saying is you should have hyphen f. Okay, it is running npm run affected build. Okay, so you can see it has actually, it is just running npm run affected build and ignoring the no, it's here, right? So npm run affected build -fn base equals to origin slash main, and it says okay. Strange. So let's see if affected build. Npm run affected apps -fn plain. There was something else. Origin master. Let's try this one. Main. Okay, so let's see. It should run it again, and oh, Okay, some people are saying hyphen hyphen. Jordan says it should be hyphen hyphen, double hyphen. But let's see. I mean, I'm able to get anyways that option inside the Nx, but in commands. Okay, so once it runs, I can see that there is hyphen hyphen base option which is available. So let's see, because I have seen some issues in past where actually passing hyphen hyphen makes sense in case I'm doing it from command line, but if I'm adding it in package.json, it is not required. So right now what I'm doing is I'm adding it in this command. So here, so it should take these options, but if I try to do it from the command line, it actually sometime ignores those options. But let's see. So it says Nx hyphen hyphen base origin main and head origin is plain and X affected build and not a valid object name origin name. Let's try with hyphen hyphen double hyphen and see. Is there anyone who has faced this issue in past? It works on local, somehow it doesn't work on Github Action, so strange. And it fails on local now. So it says, okay, Nx affected unknown option base origin main. Probably it was getting master. Strange. So let's see if it works. Otherwise, we'll just move on. And this is really strange. And if you affected build, it failed again, and it says affected criteria defaulted to base master. Unknown option base origin main. This is really strange. I mean, if I do remove this hyphen hyphen, it works on my local machine, but not on CI. This is again strange. So right now nothing is affected, so nothing got built. Makes sense. Okay, anyway, so let's move on to the publishable libraries, and we will see how we can actually create publishable library using Nx. And I will merge this PR first to let's move on to main. And let's create a new branch. So I'll say, okay, create new branch, Nx publishable libs. Okay. So earlier we created a buildable library, which is which is really good option in case it is inside Mono Repo, right? You just want to use it inside Mono Repo. You don't want to publish it. But in case you want to publish it outside Mono Repo or use it outside Mono Repo, you have to create a publishable library. Let's create one. So I'll say Nx generate lib, and I'll say this is to public hyphen publishable. I think it's true by false by default. So I'll say okay, this is true. Publishable libs, you have to provide a proper import path, which needs to be a valid package, npm package name. It makes sense. So I'll say okay, this is hyphen import path is equals to, I'll say this is Nx reusable Nx shared lib. Let's see. Ah, just spelling mistake. And now it will create a new library. So you'll find, okay, this is my library, and this is the name, Nx shared lib, which I gave as an import path. And inside Angular.json, let's see what is different. So here, projects, to do app, util, shared, and this is the public one. So you can see it also has same ts config lib.prod.json, but it is configured to be publishable. So we can actually go ahead and publish it outside the Mono Repo. And this is it. So let's go ahead and, is there anything here? No. So we have this public module. I think library should be created. You can, of course, automate the publishing part, but we are not going into that detail as we will be doing it manually. And now once this is ready, I'll just add a new component. So I'll say but integrate terminal, and we'll add a new component, Nx gc, and I'll say this is to do add, basically to add a new component. And this is done. I'll just export from lib slash to do add component. Let's build the library. So I'll say okay, this is, close this out. So use this one, and I'll say this is Nx build my library name. So let's go ahead and do that. Lib to do shared, to do public, and then I will pass hyphen prod flag. And this is built, and now I can go to my distributable folder again as we did earlier. So and then we can publish npm publish access is equals to public. Hope this name is not taken, so probably not. And this is it. So we just created a library, publishable library, using Nx, and then we built it and we published it. I want to verify this. Let's see if it works here. So here I'll just go back. So I just want to verify the affected build again. So okay, affected build change hyphen base is equals to origin slash main. Let's do that. So I'll say npm run affected build. So to do public, to do app, and to do shared. So you can see to do common is actually not built. I'm not sure why to do shared is affected, but it should not be. I mean, looks like, if let's go to angular.json, I think I know why it got affected. Okay, strange. So to do list component, okay, I forgot to take the latest from master. But yes, this is how you can actually publish. So I'll just stage all the changes. Added a new publishable library. Let's go ahead and take the latest before we move. So I'll say this is an example. Okay. So before creating a new library, I think I forgot to take or merge the latest one. To do common is not included, right? So okay, anyways, but this is how you can actually also publish the library using Nx. Remember, so buildable library, in case you don't want to publish it on npm, create a create a buildable library. In case you want to publish it outside of the out of the mono repo, you can use publishable library using Nx. The advantage is, of course, you can always build only what is affected. In case you use Nx DevTools. In Angular, you have to build everything. So whenever you change something, you have to go ahead and build everything and then use it inside your application or inside another library if you're using it. But you don't have publishable and buildable libraries in Angular. Everything is publishable by default. You can go ahead and do that. So this is it for the day. I think I'll figure this out why I'm not able to build the affected only on CI, but it works fine on local. So that is something probably I will do it in next stream. We'll discuss about uh, maybe how you can actually do that, or probably I'll just send out a tweet how we can do it as well. So see you and thanks for joining. In case you have any questions, you can always post it on Twitter. I'll be more than happy to actually take that. Or in case you have some questions right now, I think I have 5 minutes left. So actually, I wanted to cover the secondary entry points, but I think we'll do it next time. It's already 2 hours, so I'll cover that in next stream probably. So you know how to configure the secondary entry points. So in case you are not aware, secondary entry points is something which being used by most of the libraries. For example, Angular material, right? So in Angular material, you import Angular slash material slash button slash table. So that is something possible because of secondary entry points. And you the advantage is your library is recheckable. So that is something which we'll see in next stream. I think that will be a good thing to do. Probably while doing that, we'll also cover this buildable sorry, affected builds as well. So in case there is no questions, let's end the stream for the day. And thanks for joining. Bye everyone.